Welcome back. And as mentioned before, we are now having an interview with our own employees from Namibia Media Holdings. So joining me here today is our NMH Production Director and Training Officer, Alexander Fase. Welcome, Alexander.
Thank you so much, Rivaldo. It's
And
nice to
also
be here.
with him, we have a graphic designer, an intern under Alexander's department, who is Brandon. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Definitely. So then, how are you guys feeling this morning, seeing that we are hosting our virtual career expo?
It's for me, it's very nice, Rivaldo. It's excellent to see. This is now the second year that we do the virtual experience, and I love it.
Definitely. Brendan, how are you feeling of the virtual career expo?
I feel this is very exciting as it's something interesting and a way to share and communicate with others.
Okay, definitely. And just to mention a fun fact, Alexander is joining us for the second time. He was here last year during our virtual career expo, and he's this year again during our virtual career expo. To start us off, Alexander, give us a brief description of your job title and what it entails.
Rivaldo, I'm a production director and a training officer for NMH. So that means that I've quite a big department. 25 people are in my department, and I have different teams. So it's the production department, it's the editorial design department, it's the NMH library and archive, and it's the content planning. So I must make sure as a production director that everything is being done in such a way that I'm also happy with the look and feel. So everything what is being produced in NMH, it must be according to a specific look and feel. And besides that, I'm a training officer as well. So I'm also facilitating courses.
Amazing, Alexander, amazing. So then, you mentioned that you did have this, you have this amazing dynamic team. Then how long have you been in this position as NMH production director and training officer?
It's quite nice because this month it's 10 years that I'm working for NMH. I started in August 2011 as a consultant first. So for 6 months I was working as a consultant. So I did the redesign of the Namibian Sun, and I started with the redesign of the Republikein. And then in May 2012 I really started as a production director and training officer.
Amazing, amazing, Alexander.
Yes.
So then, Alexander, we have a saying here at work, and that is our CEO says, make it happen, and then Alexander makes it happen. So then what would you say is your management style, Alexander?
I do not believe in one specific style. What I always try to do is I want to involve the team. So everything in what we are doing, the team must be participating in the decisions. That's for me very important. Obviously, when things must be done quickly and the team doesn't follow always directly, then you need to be a little bit more persuasive. And when I see that the teams are functionally totally fine, then I'm a little bit more relaxed and let the teams do the work themselves. That's for me very important.
Amazing.
So it fluctuates a little bit. Yeah.
Amazing, Alexander. So what are some of the challenges you faced in this position?
I cannot specifically say challenges. What for me was very difficult in the beginning is to work with other people, because I'm a perfectionist. I want to have things my way. So if I design something, we cannot deviate from my design, and it cannot be like this, and it must be like how I designed it. And that for me was sometimes difficult. Within the years, I managed to let that go. I also felt that, okay, other people, your design is also just as nice as what I intentionally templated or designed. So that was in the beginning a challenge. And for me, sometimes to find the balance between now we must deliver, we must do a lot of work, and then also with your personal life as well. Sometimes that's a little bit more challenging. And obviously also I'm very aware of my team. So for me, my people are very important. And if I push them to the limit that things needs to be done, and I see they struggle with that, that sometimes is a bit challenging, yes.
Amazing. And you mentioned before things have to happen. I actually think what you mentioned that's very important is that you've learned to actually build a relationship with your employees, and you actually decide to consider their creative ideas also. So then, Alexander, our last question for you is, what does success look like for you in your position?
A very interesting question, Rivaldo. Success is when my teams are getting results and they do that in such a way that they feel happy within NMH. That is for me very important. So I became twice Group Manager of the Year, I love that. It's really nice to have that award. But obviously without the teams, without my colleagues, I cannot do that. So success for me is when people can do the things which must be done and in such a way that they still feel happy, they learn a lot of things at NMH. And also when I see that young people are coming in just from College of the Arts and as a student even come in, and then within the years you see them grow so much, getting married, having a baby, buying a house, buying a car. I love that. For me, that is a success story. I want to empower the people and I want them to grow in life and in their careers.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexander. Alexander mentioned something very important, and that is seeing his new employees actually grow. So up next, we'll be talking to Brendan. And firstly, Brendan, I would love to see you buy a car this year under Alexander's leadership. So then, Brendan, can you give us a brief description about yourself?
My name is Hanekom. I am 19 years old. I was born in Walvis Bay, but I grew up here in Windhoek. I went to school. I just finished school last year at Windhoek High School, and my hobbies include playing chess. I love to draw, and I'm also a huge gamer.
Amazing. You mentioned you love to draw, which obviously taps into your creative art of being a designer. So I want to ask you, was becoming a designer always something you wanted to do?
I've always been interested and I have an affinity for designing because I feel it's a stepping stone in my career. I'm still very young and I would like to get into game designing.
Okay, amazing. Game designing, so basically designing the newspaper outlets is just something you're starting off. Yeah. So then how long have you been in this position, Brendan?
I started last year in December with a few weeks internship, and at the beginning of this year I received an internship program for 6 months where I follow a planned schedule, learning about how to design advertisements, school booklets, and I've also been in studios to learn how to work with live shows, and in the editorial to learn the designs of newspaper pages.
Okay, amazing. So then, Brendan, how has it been like in this position for you at NMH?
It's something I really enjoy a lot, and I feel it's very important that what I do to provide information to people around the country, and everything I've learned and I'm still learning is also very important to me. When I started here, I didn't know how to do anything, and because I just came out of school, and it's not something I learned in school. But with each colleague, I learned something new, something else, which I collect, and that's a big learning curve for me.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So now we have a bonus question, and this is where it comes in. Brendan, you actually get to ask Alexander a question. I mean, I feel like you might have a question that you get to ask him live in front of the audience. So Brendan, can you do us the honors?
I would like to ask Alexander how he feels about what I do and how I've been doing so far.
I think that's a very nice question to ask. What we do at NMH obviously is that when we start with interns and with intern programs, we obviously have feedback sessions as well. Because it's important, people need to know what they are doing very well and what is not so going very well, so that they can improve. And I think, Brendan, that I think we have some of those sessions done, and I think you are doing great. And you started with a couple of weeks in December, and we gave you the entire program to do. And so far, so good. I think you're doing great.
Amazing, Alexander. Such insightful feedback. Brendan, I feel like you still have one more question for Alexander. Can you perhaps ask him that one more question?
Can I go home early?
If you're finished with your work, you can go home early. Yes,
Thank you.
that's not a
Amazing.
problem.
That's what we do at Career VX. We get our employees to ask their supervisors to let them go home early if they're done with their work. Very important. You should be done with your work. But thank you so much, Brent and Alexander, for joining me. Up next, we'll have an interview with representatives from Namibri. So stay tuned for that.